October 21 is election day. There's one poll in Vegreville, one place to vote. That's the social center in here. The poll will be open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on that day. So if you could just spread the word. And you have to be a resident. And how do we establish that? Well, if you bring ID with your name and address, something that shows you are a resident of Vegreville, that's great, because there isn't a voter's list the same way. And so I'd suggest if you bring picture ID, but if you've only recently moved here and the address on your picture ID is somewhere else and you have a utility bill or something, and I'm not certain if there is an ability at polling stations, and our electoral officer can tell me to swear that you are a resident if for some reason you don't have current ID. But the election date, October 21. There is an advanced poll for people who will be away on October 21. That is October 11th. I wrote down the hours, but not the date. October 11th. And for that, you vote at council chambers. So that's a fully accessible building as well. So council chambers, the hours there are 12 to 8. And again, bring ID. So advanced poll, October 11th from 12 to 8. You vote at the council chambers. The election, October 21, you vote here between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. Don't forget to bring ID. It's one great thing about a smaller community, it's not that far to go back and get it. So with that, I'd like to again thank all of the candidates for the work that they've done in preparing their platforms. The process for questions is that I have gathered the questions that were brought in. I'm going to attempt to ask as many as possible. What we're going to start with are questions for all of the candidates. I know that it may have been indicated to you that you could have a significant amount of time, perhaps up to 2 minutes. So I'm going to ask that you try to keep your responses to 30 seconds. 30 seconds to 1 minute at the longest, and think of it in terms of bullet points. So the first question, this is open to all mayor and council candidates. First question is, how would you promote Vegreville as a regional hub? And tied into that, what steps would you take to attract business and people to the downtown area? And this is open to anyone. So for the first question, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with Sandra, and we'll work outside. And once we get to the end, we'll start with Natalia, work here, and then we'll work back and forth. So we'll start again with Sandra. Question, really economic development questions. How would you promote Vegreville as a regional hub? And tied into that, attracting business and people to downtown in 30 seconds, 1 minute, go.
Wow, put on the spot right off the hop. I guess the biggest thing for promoting Vegreville is basically promotion. We need to get our name out there. We need to be accessible. We need to listen to what the business community is saying, and for the future businesses that are looking to relocate or looking to start up, what they are looking for. The downtown community, I like the downtown. The downtown's a nice walking corridor, and I think in order to promote it, you maybe need to look at promoting it as a specialty. I know a lot of communities do the historical downtown or the boutiques and stuff like that. Maybe that is something that Vegreville needs to look at.
Thank you, Sandra. Tim?
Thank you. First of all, to promote Vegreville as a shopping hub or for this area and stuff, I already think we're doing a fairly good job of that for our local area and stuff. And for the downtown area, well, I'd like to see some of the empty lots downtown be turned into a parking lot. And so there could be some more parking downtown, and then maybe the people that are looking at investing and putting a building up or something wouldn't have to use all of their lot for, or half their lot for parking. That's about it.
Thanks, Tim. Janine?
Thank you. We are a regional hub for the area, and I've seen on my time on council real recognition of our importance as a business center. We house a lot of expertise in the community, whether it's providing fire and ambulance services as well as training for other fire departments. providing the excellence that we have in our water treatment facility, and also providing that service to other communities that are close by, providing bylaw services to other communities that cannot provide that service to their own citizens, are a few ways that we as a hub for the region do good promotion. One of the things that I think we do very well is promotion as a community, both locally, provincially, and now nationally. We've won some awards for the excellence that we're doing in this community. I'd like to see more of that. We live in a computer age, so our ability to be able to connect with people doesn't need to be face-to-face. However, that is still one of the best ways to be able to make connections with people. And attending national conferences and winning awards for what we're doing in this small town receives the kind of accolades that you would be proud of. Vegreville, when you Google Vegreville, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, you can be proud that this community is not just a small town. This is a town that has a name. This egg might be iconic, and that pisinka might be a sign, but it's a sign that is recognizable across the country.
Thanks, team. Michael.
As a regional hub, I can tell you that the first thing that I would look to do is to continue strengthening ties with Alberta Hub. It's an organization that exists that promotes trade in the East Central Alberta area. There's about 12.1 billion worth of pipeline construction starting or to start in the next 2 years. We've got 1.8 billion of power-related projects. We're already getting some of that. We're going to get 130 million worth of biofuels. This is all in a similar area, so the more information we have out to Hub, the more information is getting out to investors who are scouting our area. Now, as far as downtown, it's perhaps it starts with creating a downtown business association to give them a unified voice. The paper was invited to a presentation on revitalizing downtown a few months ago, creating festivals, attractions, things like that. Trying to draw people there is the first step, and then if there's an association, they can create a unified plan and work with council on that.
Thanks, Michael. If we can move to Natalia.
As has already been mentioned by a couple of people, promoting Vegreville as a regional hub is something that we've been doing for a while, certainly as members of Hub, which is based in St. Paul for this entire area. Ever since the West End development came into being, that has actually attracted a great deal more traffic to Vegreville, and you'll find that the business owners who were here before and are still here recognized how much more foot traffic they get as a result of that. We also, as was mentioned earlier, provide services to a lot of other communities. As far as the downtown is concerned, I have gone on record very recently during the land use bylaw talks promoting the maintenance of open storefronts in the downtown area. I'm not sure some people realize, but the town is not the landlord in the downtown area. So I would like to see more, either a downtown business committee, a revitalization kind of thing, and also working for the town, working together with the chamber, with perhaps some focus on the downtown.
Myron.
Could you just repeat the question for
Sure.
me, please?
Two-part question. What steps will you take to attract business people to downtown, and how would you promote Vegreville as a regional hub? So regional and the downtown.
Downtown, I think we have to find something that is unique. As in many other communities, the downtown areas have died, if you want to call it. So I think that we should get a committee together of the downtown business sector to try to find something, or anybody, to try to find something that is unique, that is going to draw people to that area. And then secondly, about Vegreville as a hub, we have to look at what services are required or needed, and if we do not supply them, that is something that we'll have to look into possibly getting.
Thanks. Jenny?
It's tough being at this end, but I would like to see our downtown similar to what happened in Camrose years ago. When Camrose built their West End development, their downtown was rather stale for a few years, but if you go to Camrose now, they have things like dental, accounting, music stores, specialty stores, and I think if we could work with the Downtown Businessmen Association, if that association could be built or get together to do. Also, we have economic development and the chamber, and these are all great resources. Regarding regional hub, we're already doing some of that, as I mentioned in my speech, providing services, training for water services, bylaw. ACE was a great one, the Alberta Central East Corridor Water Commission. And we're so fortunate that our people are talented and skilled to be able to provide that service for them. So we are working on that.
Thanks, Kenny.
Okay.
And if we could go to Derek and then work our way down to Len, and I know everybody has an opinion on this, so I think it's important to hear from all candidates. And Greg, sorry Greg, we will end with Greg and end with that.
All right. Okay, so for the to promote as a regional hub, it was already mentioned, there is an economic hub located right here in central East Alberta. Some of the other ideas I just jotted down right now are to do some consultation with some of the other successful municipalities that have generated themselves as one of these hubs, as well as for the downtown to spur interest and fill some of these vacant spots, and to revitalize that would be to utilize the resources that are right there already with the Chamber and Economic Development and their little incubator. If you've got a small business, to let it grow over a year or so, and then once you have become successful and it's on its way to becoming sustainable, maybe there's an opportunity to partner with another business downtown to create a storefront, something like that. Get 1 or 2 or 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 of those.
And I'm going to have to stop you at that. All right. Marielle.
Okay. My ideas of promoting economic development for Vegreville as a hub for business would be communication with investors through the Chamber of Commerce, communication with various levels of government, sharing ideas as to what opportunities may exist. We would have to promote Vegreville's proximity. We are located along the Yellowhead Highway. Also, what services we have available, and also infrastructure that we have available. Communication is definitely key.
Thanks, Marielle. David.
I think advertising is one of the best ways of going about it. You have to let people know what you've got here in order for them to even think about coming here. To try and expand a little bit on what has already been said, I would be looking at trying to encourage people to come here. Businesses can only do business if there's people here to do business with. So I think they have to have population growth. So you have to sell the town to people who want to move here and encourage them to come here.
Thanks. Chuck?
Yes, I say about the same thing as this young fella here, that you can't expect somebody to put a business downtown with the people. We don't have enough people to go and supply, to help them out. And for the first few years that they are here, we need to give them a chance and maybe cut their taxes for the first 2 or 3 years, get them started, making some money, and then go back to charging them the way we should. But they're not going to make a business here the way it is, and that's a known fact. That's why our downtown is empty. Okay?
Matt?
Thank you. For the hub concept of industrial development, we have 2 major resources, the Yellowhead Highway and rail. We should be attending oil and gas, trade shows, and searching to other distributors, either warehousing or manufacturing. A good example is look at Tyndall. How many small shops have opened up short line manufacturing for the oil and gas industry? And parts can be shipped miles and miles away today to job sites. So those are the prime needs for the oil and gas business right now. Downtown, I think many people, when they travel, they look for some unique themes, either historical or Ukrainian or say French Canadian or other ethnic groups. Open up shops that have cultural background, foods or crafts, artistic kind of products. So I know a good example is Kimberley. If you've ever been to Kimberley, the themes that they use in their downtown that
Okay,
about that.
and thank you, Hunter. We'll stop you there. Greg, if we can go to you.
Firstly, we already are a member of the Northeast Alberta Hub Association, which is based out of St. Paul. This is an international organization with ties all the way down to Mexico. Bob Blasco has tied CMBS, for example, to contracts, so obviously we should continue those kinds of things. We're a member of the Yellowhead Highway Association. We should continue that. As far as downtown is concerned, I think that if we think it's dead, then it will be. I don't think it is. And certainly Chris and I have invested our money in the downtown. I think there are solutions. Off-site parking would probably improve the viability of certain lot sizes. The downtown market has shown that a walking downtown community is successful and people want it. So those are the kinds of things we need to promote as that sort of downtown concept. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Adam.
So, as Greg mentioned or alluded to, the downtown market has been very successful, and I think we need to, in the summer months at least, repeat that success and better frequency. Economic development is going to be the key to reviving the downtown and to Vegreville continuing to be the hub and growing as the hub. I think that we need to promote ads, as Barry said, Dave said. We need a list of services from each business, because there's still many of us out there who are looking for a service and we end up going to Edmonton to get it when it's available here, and often for less. And I think that's something that economic development again will be very, very happy to promote and get put together. We need to go out of town to bring businesses here. We need to let people know what we have available. So that includes all the listings, and make sure that those listings are updated, and get all the agents to provide us with the listings. Thank you.
Thanks,
Sorry, one more quick thing. And we need to find investors for retiring business owners. Some businesses close not because they weren't successful.
And I'll just stop you on that point. Thanks. And thanks to all the candidates for respecting the timelines. I know economic development is an important issue. We've had a number of questions on it, and I guess I wanted to convey to the candidates that these are a couple of representative questions, but they're not the only ones. So again, from the people here tonight, it's important. The next question is addressed to the three mayoral candidates, and Jenny, since you have the mic, we'll start with you. There were at least two questions along the same line. One says that I understand the cost of restructuring is way over the estimates for the Trans-Canada building. Are you prepared to go to taxpayers of Vegreville on a plebiscite and give them a say with the building? That's a specific question. The more general one is, what are the current town plans with the renovations? What is the projected costs? Are they needed due to support it? So the Trans-Canada building, is it over budget, and what's your position on it? We'll start with Jenny and then we'll work down between time.
It was a unanimous decision of council to purchase the Trans-Canada building, and that was because we are not meeting the federal requirements for the staffing of the RCMP. We have not been meeting those requirements for the last 10 years. So we have to do that. One cell costs $250,000. We are working with the RCMP cooperatively to take that down from 9 to possibly 6. We need good planning. Yes, the budget for renovating the Trans-Canada building and the present town office, so the RCMP have their room, is over budget. That's why there's no final decisions made. We are also looking with consultants, structural, to ensure that we do have the room and space. Right now, we don't have a solid answer because it did come in way too high. So we are working on that to ensure that our taxes and our taxes don't go up for something like that.
Thank you, Jenny. Myron?
Basically, this is an area of contention with me. If anybody wants to discuss it, I will be glad to do it. I don't have the time to do it here right now. And yes, there is something that has to be done with it. And I think it has a lot to do with basically why I'm running for mayor.
And tell me.
Sorry, there was a second part to that question.
The two parts, basically, one is, if it is over budget, will you support a plebiscite?
Right.
And then the more general question is, what is the status, and if, are you in support of continuing with the project?
Absolutely. The initial costs that came in for the Trans-Canada building were higher than expected, and so, as Councillor Cooper suggested, we are still in the process of working on this. No final decisions have been made at all. And also to understand that the purchase of the Trans-Canada building was part of a much larger project, which included finding space for the RCMP, as well as for public works, which at this point doesn't have enough space for all of its doesn't have enough space for what it needs, and also the administration area is at capacity. So the idea of purchasing that, the Trans-Canada building was a wonderful building with all kinds of, not just office space, but all kinds of shop space as well. And so it became, it was a decision unanimous by council to purchase that building to take care of all of those needs with a lot of shuffling around.
Thank you. This next question is addressed to all of the candidates in 20 seconds or less, and we're going to start alphabetically with the council candidates. Name one guiding principle that you will use to govern the town if elected, and why is it important to you? Your main guiding principle, why is it important? We'll start with you, man.
Thank you. My main principle is to be a good listener and take your needs to town council and review them. Is that the needs of the entire town? And is it what the town really needs? Not just kind of a handful of people making a decision and people like this town Trans-Canada type building. I purchased those kind of buildings for communities for $1.
Thank you, Lynn. Chuck. Guiding principle, why is it important to you?
Important to me. Okay, there we go. It's important to me, like that Trans-Canada building, that they knew when they bought it, they didn't need that building. They could build an RCMP building right by the ambulance office. That's a whole lot cheaper doing that than it was buying that building. And there's enough room in the town office, and that's where the town office should be, is downtown. That's where it belongs. It doesn't belong in the west end of town. Okay.
David, again, general guiding principle, why is it important to you?
Respect of the voter. I think anybody on council has to respect the people that employ them. I think you have to listen and you have to communicate. And I think that that's where I'm coming from, is I want to be your voice.
Thank you. Marielle?
I'd like to focus on economic development. I'd like to focus on promoting and facilitating the available services that Vegreville currently has to offer. And I'd also like to focus on promoting the quality of life that Vegreville residents currently enjoy.
Garrett.
Guiding principle, active listening to the electorate, all of you guys, and then being your voice, taking it back to council and having good, healthy debate, and coming up with the right answers that will not please everyone, but will please the majority.
Adam.
I think transparency and open government have to be at the base, and I think it's kind of the same as some of our candidates have already said. We need to be better at listening to you guys. Thank you.
And Greg.
basically listening to all, fair and equal treatment for everyone regardless of their position. Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time.
Sandra.
For me, one of my guiding principles is integrity. I'll be consistent with my actions, and you'll get from me what you expect.
I guess mine would have to be fairness, to try to balance needs for everybody and try to look at everything as a whole to make it fair as I possibly could.
Working together, whether it's my fellow councillors, my mayor, my electorate, the committees that I work on, the committees that I represent you on, I believe working together works better. That's the best way that I can express to you my guiding principle. It takes a lot of energy and enthusiasm to work hard, do your research, show up for meetings, and be energetic and informed to work for you. And working together just works better for all of us, that we all have our opinions, they're listened to, and we arrive at the best decision.
Thank you. Michael.
I'm just going to pull this one straight out of the MGA because it's one of the responsibilities of any councillor, which is to develop and maintain a viable community. Now that can mean a lot of different things, but realistically, with that principle, a councillor's passion can shine in policies that encourage prosperity and growth, and when the goal is viability, the decisions become much more clear on what needs to be done.
Thank you. Moving to the mayoralty candidates, there's a specific question. There were 3 or 4 times that this came up. It's addressed to Myron, but I'd invite all 3 candidates to comment on it. Myron, you were censured during your term as a councillor. This is what the question says. How does this factor into your ability and competency to act as mayor? So again, censored by council, will that affect your ability to act as mayor?
It won't affect my ability at all. I just have to watch on the way I present myself, I guess, and the language I use.
Charlie, did you want to comment on that? Jenny, do you have anything to add? Basically, the question to Myron was, you were censored by council. That's the allegation. Not drawn to a conclusion of law there. If that's true, then will it affect your council? Myron's addressed it, and in fairness, I've offered. So neither of the candidates need to address that specifically. There is a specific question that's come up a number of times for candidate Michael Simpson, and basically there's a perception that there's a conflict of interest in being a newspaper writer and editorialist. How would you handle that conflict if you were elected?
Oh, I was waiting for that one. Thanks, Peter. There may be efforts to create the perception of conflict of interest, but after spending an hour with municipal affairs on the phone when I decided I wanted to run, I can assure everyone in the room there is absolutely no conflict of interest. However, to be fair, back in July we created an editorial policy for what will happen if a member of the staff becomes an elected official. It kind of went hand in hand when we created the same policy on how we were going to handle the election coverage. I guess the meat and potatoes of it is I'm going to clip my own wings and refrain from writing editorials on the activities of council. So you guys are all off the hook, okay?
Again, I think that's a specific question for council. There's one that's, I think, an open question. A recent issue was the land use bylaw amendments, and the question asked if you could explain it, but I think it really is, start with council candidates. What's your position on what went on there? Would you have done anything different with respect to the recent land use bylaw changes? And this time we will start, let's start with Marielle and work our way 3 people down to Greg, and then we'll figure it out from there. Marielle, if you could start.
How to answer that? Obviously, it was a bone of contention because so many residents and so many taxpayers, businessmen came out to the first meeting. I think how I would have handled it, of course, I can't say that they did anything wrong, but definitely more communication with business owners and residents, just to get their input as to what their views are. And yeah, basically just the communication issue.
Here?
Excuse me. I wasn't a counselor, but I hope to become one. Open consultation, I guess, sending out public notifications, which I know there were. I guess creating a bit more of an awareness around why or what the changes that were being proposed and how they would impact various businesses in the industrial areas, and the commercial areas, and the residential areas. I guess that's something that as a new counselor, perhaps, I'm going to have to learn.
Thanks. Adam?
I think that what we could have done better is had Chamber of Commerce representation a little bit earlier on the process, so that in the first reading we weren't surprised with the decisions that were in there. And still better, I think we could have had all the public all along having copies of the document publicly available. The second reading, that wasn't done, unfortunately, but I wish that it would have. Thanks.
Great.
All the council meetings, of course, are open meetings. Anybody can attend them. Same thing with the executive. Unfortunately, we get very few people attending those. Even the media doesn't attend. We held an open house once the proposal had been put in place. We had one business that was affected that did make a presentation. One other person did show but didn't make a presentation. We sent out special letters to make sure that these people were aware. In the end, there was about 8 or 9 businesses that were directly affected, and in most cases just a minor tweaking of a few details for them to fit in. I do think that a lot of the things were blown out of proportion to some extent, but we held an open meeting and people got a chance to express their point of view, and we listened and we made those sorts of changes. So I think that obviously for the future, probably a little bit more direct information, but how do you get people to come if they don't want to?
And I'll just skip around a little bit, so Tim, if you can address it next.
Sure. The whole process I thought was not handled very well at all. I don't think we had a regular consultant from out of town to tell us what we actually needed here. I think we should have maybe listened to some or even asked some of the businesses to be invited to something that was affecting them that way. And the biggest thing that I would have done, I would have used a little more common sense. Thank you.
And if we can move down to David.
Didn't hear my name being called. Being a newcomer, I'm reluctant to really comment on this too far. My first impression of it, that it became extremely piecemeal, and I think it is still piecemeal. I don't know really if they should have done it the way they did. There's no communication to start with. I think there should have been, rather than a consultant, a focus group, where you had the community involved saying, what should the bylaw look like before they ever started working on drafting one? Because I think when the business community has to put posters up in their windows to say, I'm opposed, it says something was wrong from the start.
I think the biggest thing is when they created the committee for the land use bylaw, there should have been an invitation to the businesses. It should have been offered out there, and you know what, maybe it was, but I'm pretty sure the chamber would have liked to have a voice. Also, there is a process that everything has to go through, but I do think an explanation along with the first reading may have been warranted. The first reading came out and the first thing I'm hearing is they're shoving this down our throats. Well, part of that is a lack of understanding and a lack of communication on everybody's part on the process of introducing the bylaws for.
And I'll stop you there. Thank you. We can move down this time over to Chuck.
Well, you probably won't like what I gotta say, but the land use bylaw with all those people who do businesses, that should have been just shut up and leave them alone, let them do what they're doing because they're a farm and they're a bunch of businesses. Leave them alone. Thanks.
Me.
The land use bylaw delivery perhaps could have involved people right from the very beginning. I think what we did well was we listened. And having this kind of overwhelming response to the things that council is doing is unusual. It's very typical for us to show up, do our research, have our meetings about really important things, and have not a soul there. So to have this kind of response from the business community is absolutely and totally welcomed. Council was thrilled to have this kind of community participation from businesses. In the future, what we've learned is that in addition to following provincial law, we have to follow provincial law. We cannot bypass that. As a community that's building for the future, we need to follow the rules of the province, and so we need to have a land use bylaw. What we can do better is listen from the beginning, and I want to hear voices from citizens as well as businesses in the future.
And Lance, we can go to you, and Michael will finish.
Thank you. I've had the opportunity to read both land use bylaws, and what I can see is a more rigid, more precise land use bylaw. As we said earlier, we want economic development. Well, you need a more easygoing land use bylaw for more economic development. And secondly, I could see it really focused more on the enforcement end. A land use bylaw is supposed to protect your land and the enjoyment and the use and economic benefit. So those are the main themes of a land use bylaw. You'll never write a perfect land use bylaw, but be more flexible. Thank you.
And Michael.
Well, for all the incumbents on listening, I'm just going to throw you guys a bone and say, you know what, I really do believe personally, after sitting through all of these meetings after the first reading, they probably really didn't think to ask the business first, and they did react appropriately by allowing the chamber to have some reps on there, and I'm willing to bet they're not going to make that mistake again. So hindsight is always 20/20, and Greg did raise a good point up until this point. If they had invited the businesses to participate in this bylaw at the start before things got hot, would they have come? I don't know. I think this was the moment in Vegreville's history where businesses finally got their act together and spoke with one voice, and that's why we had the changes made that were made.
Thank you. And I know the mayor candidates would probably like to address it, but I'm going to ask you to restrain your enthusiasm. There's a question for all the mayor candidates. Explain to the voters, in your view, what the difference is between the role of the mayor and that of council. And the second part of that is, do you have the ability to commit the time necessary to do the job, in your opinion? So, is there a distinction between the role of mayor and council? What is that in your opinion? And secondly, how can you fulfill that obligation? We'll start with you.
Absolutely, there is a difference in the roles of mayor and council. As I alluded to in my speech earlier, the mayor, of course, is the head of council, the main representative of council, and the leader of the group. However, the mayor is one of 7 individuals on a council, and his or her vote is one vote, which weighs as much as any other vote, any other people on council. So there's a dual thing there. He or she is part of the team, but also the face of council.
Will you be able to commit the time necessary to fill it?
Absolutely. I have 100% of my time is committed to being the mayor and doing the work that's necessary to represent the town.
We'll go to Jenny and then Bishop Meyer.
Role of mayor, it's a leader. It's also to ensure that each councillor is heard. Many times the mayor also has to go out of town to meetings that are not just in this community, so we are there to represent you in a professional manner. I would ensure that with new council, that I take my time so they understand the process. There's a lot of process in municipal government. I just retired after 28 years as a government worker, social worker, I'm very proud of, and I have that time to commit 100%. Thank you.
And Meyer.
Yeah, I'd say there's definitely a difference. Mayor should be a mentor, if you want to call it. Should be the one who can give guidance, but also I like they said, one vote, but to me that should not be voted on at the same time. That should be looked at as a tiebreaker if there is a tie. And as far as the time factor, I've done many things in my life. I've run many businesses. I like to stay busy. And as the saying goes, if you want a job done, give it to somebody who's busy. Thank you.
Thank you to all three. I'm going to ask this question because it's always asked at municipal forums, and I don't need an answer, but I want to ask because I think it needs to be addressed. The question is, there are lots of cats rolling about. Why are cats allowed to go with no tags and dogs must have a tag? This is, again, politics is local. So again, that, and we laugh a little bit, but again, that's the type of thing that does come up that people want addressed. The representation is dogs must be licensed, darn cats should be. I don't want to poll council on, but I think it's important you know. I will poll candidates though on the question, in year one, name your 2 priorities in 20 seconds. Let's start with Mike. Well, actually, no, we'll start with Mike because we started. And then we'll come in and we'll do for you all. 2 priorities, year one, 20 seconds.
Okay, so the first priority is to stop this nonsense about not releasing a full budget to the public. I want a publicly redacted, FOIP-ready, accessible version of the budget available for download online so that every taxpayer knows where their money is going. Priority 2 is to freeze council pay increases until we take a closer look at what everyone is doing, because I don't think the taxpayers are getting a fair end of the deal on what councillors make.
Thank you. Please.
Could I just clarify, did you say 2 or 3 priorities?
I said 2 because I thought it's hard to do in 20 seconds.
Sounds good. First priorities, back on council, I have a lot of energy and work that I feel that is incomplete. I'd like to keep on track. There are a lot of projects that we've done that I'd like to keep on working with. FCSS is an extremely important element in Vegreville. I'd like to continue to support the programs that we offer through FCSS, like the Model Project, support for seniors, youth, and families. I'd also like to continue with our extremely successful money-saving ventures, recycling and
Thank
composting.
you, Tim.
First of all, I'd like to find out just what the land east of town is, if it's still tied up, and see if we can't get something going down there to put some services in for some industrial land. Plus, I'd like to find out how the grant system works from the provincial government. Is our MLA, are they directly involved when we apply for a grant? Do they stick up for us? Do we have any help from our representative federally and provincially? And that's one thing I really want to find out about is the grant situation and why I'm qualifying.
Thank you, Tim. Sandra.
2 priorities for me are business growth and quality of life. Business growth, we need new businesses in town to sustain our quality of life. Basically, more money spent here, the more money stays here. Quality of life, everything from looking at the new ice rink that's being built, the playgrounds, snow removal come this winter is going to be a hot topic.
Thank you.
All that.
Great.
Firstly, I'd like to continue working to try to develop some of our industrial projects that we have had on the burners for quite some time. Hopefully we can get some of those things completed and going. And secondly, I would like to see the continuation of our recycling program so that it can be spread throughout the entire community. We need to, I think, save our future environment for our kids and our grandkids, and I think that's important.
Thank you. Adam?
I think economic development would be my #1 priority. I think we need to go out there and bring those businesses here, and we need to work hard on it. And the second thing is greater transparency. I think Mike alluded to open budgets. I would open up those meetings and make sure that we understand the budget before we pass it.
Thank you. Eric?
All right, one of the first things I think I would like to learn more about and put on my agenda as one of the priorities is look at the accessible, affordable housing for this region and see how we go about expanding that. The other thing is to continue to create and promote Vegreville and businesses, just like what everybody else said here, the industrial area, the commercial areas.
Thank you. Marielle?
First thing I'd like to do if I were elected to town council is to familiarize myself with everything that there is to know about being a member of council. I would also like to focus on economic development promoting business to this community, and I would like to resolve the Trans-Canada building issue.
Thank you. Dave?
I'd like to work on the needs of the people. I think that there is, as I've said before, a need for better recreational facilities. And I think that would promote things. I also think that seniors need more information. I know there's information out there, but I don't think it's getting to the seniors.
Chuck?
Come on, let's work. Well, I guess the first thing I want to do is make sure everything and everybody gets treated very fair. Not a little bit for this one and a little for that. I want everybody treated fair. I don't know what else I can say more. Thanks.
Ben?
Main focus on economic development, attracting more of the oil and gas sector to locate the area, because we are on the yellowhead in the northeast region, the greatest activity in Alberta of oil and gas. So we definitely like to see more manufacturing and warehousing. Secondly, by 2020, we'll see about a third more seniors in this town. So let's look at seniors' needs and let's work on that. There's about 20,000 farmers, about 7 counties that are all going to become seniors, and they need to come somewhere. Let's focus on that resource.
Thank you. And the mayoral candidates, if we can this time start with Myron, then Jenny. And 2 priorities, year 1, 20 cents.
Basically, transparency and accountability. Because I believe that basically the taxpayer is the ones we have to be accountable for, and also so that they know what's happening. The rest of it will fall in place.
Mine is balance cost with services. It's great to say cut the budget, and then everybody wants a snowplow, of course. I will also be, as mayor, I will be a proud professional leader, always promoting Vegreville.
In my first year as mayor, I would begin by supporting particularly new councillors on their learning cliff, not learning curve, but learning cliff, what it all means to be on council and how that process works. And of course, the second priority, because it starts right away, is the beginning of what is usually a 5-month budget process. So it's, I'm hearing that people want to be a lot more involved in that process, and it's working together to figure out how to do that and face that we face on an annual basis.
Thank you. We burned through 45 minutes of questions already. The candidates will be giving closing statements. I just want to summarize a couple of the other issues that have been raised in questions. Generally speaking, there have been a couple of questions raised about specific issues, and I'm not asking for answers, but I'm just letting you know it's out there. Number 1, what's your position on the library, its role in Vegreville? What will you, if you have a position, do to support it? So people are wondering about that. Secondly, a question relates to some indication that there may be some candidates who are working together as a slate. Don't know if that's true or not, but again, that's something that's been raised. I haven't seen evidence of that, so again, but it's something that may need to be addressed. Generally, comments again. What's the role of the mayor and council in balancing growth and small town quality of life? People are wondering, how do you do that? And finally, just some real concerns about what specifically candidates are going to be doing. So we have a number of questions, and I really would like to thank everyone who took the time to write questions. I'm sorry I couldn't get to them all, but I've tried to get a representative sample. I think the candidates all will stay afterwards to the extent that they can and answer your questions specifically. That means I've got to stop talking. So what we're going to do with your permission is we'll have the council candidates speak in the reverse order, and I've got the numbers so you don't have to have them memorized. Then we'll finish with the mayoralty candidates. So the last shall be first, and so we have number 1 will be, I've got to get to the right, Derek, I think you're leading us off. Thank you. 1 minute.
All right, thank you. 1 minute? Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out tonight. this is awesome. I've never really participated in something like this before, but I do like public speaking. So to wrap everything up, vote Christensen, first and foremost. Number 2, I'm about accessibility, accountability, integrity, and I think that my ability to learn and my effectiveness as being a leader over the last 25, 30 years within any community that I've lived in, I think would be a true benefit to this wonderful town. And I love you all.
Thank you. Chuck?
Me, I think, I know I'm an honest guy, I won't lie to you, and if you vote me in, I will do the best I can for y'all. That's what I can say. Thanks.
Mike?
The province is moving towards a regional collaborative strategy with municipal funding. I think Vegreville's council has to keep the doors open with the county of Midburn and other nearby municipalities on project planning and development to capitalize on that. I think the council needs to ensure a friendly atmosphere exists for doing business in town. I think that seniors need a stronger voice in provincial matters, and the council needs to do more to help them navigate the everyday challenges that come with being a senior. Point of clarification, the Community Services Director did inform me after my speech that there is someone in town who helps seniors fill out these provincial forms, so do be sure to go and see Heather. She'll get that paperwork started for you if you guys are in need. Beyond that, we got to take a look at need items over want items, and of course a savings plan and a long-term plan for those leisure options for families.
Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've had the privilege of working on your behalf for the last 6 years. Thank you. On October the 21st, I am asking for your support once again so that I can continue to work for Vegreville. I look at public service as a way of giving back to the community that has treated us well and that we dearly love. My promise to you is to provide fair and equal representation for all. I am open and accessible. In my view, business, big or small, individuals, young or old, rich or poor, deserve equality. Together we can grow the community. I offer thoughtful consideration for all ideas and positions. I promise to lead by example, as I always have. I am not part of a slate with an agenda. I stand on my own merits. I offer you my experience, my integrity, and my time. On October 21st, please vote Greg Curlick for fair and equal treatment for all. Thank you very much for your attendance.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber for this opportunity and thank you all for attending. This is wonderful to see everybody out here. My promise is to listen to all sides of discussion, to make informed decisions, to speak out for my beliefs and ensure we are doing the right thing for you. I will be the voice for individuals, families, seniors, businesses, service clubs, and most of all, for you. With your support, I will work for you, the people. I'm Sandra Lane, candidate for Town Council. Thank you.
Kim, you're up next.
Well, thank you all for coming. It was very good. Vegreville is a great town to live in, and we do a lot of things right. But that doesn't mean we can't look at other towns who are growing and find out what they're doing and how we can make it work for us. We need to work harder and use some common sense in our planning. As my grandfather used to tell me, common sense is not as common as you might think. I do not think being a member of the Town Council of Vegreville will be easy. I know it will be a challenge. I am ready, willing to take on this position to do the best job that I can for everybody. Not only am I asking for your vote, but I'm asking for your help to get Vegreville back on track. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight.
Marielle?
In closing, I'd like to offer the following commitments: accountability to taxpayers, enhancing services, economic development, and open, effective communication. Success in the community is defined in several ways. I'd like to commend everyone who has served on council in the past. The commitment of these individuals is exemplified in the great community we live. I'm proud to be a member of this community. I believe in investment in families within a community, to make it a place where they not only want to make a living, but to make a life. I'm a firm believer in the importance of strong family and a strong community, and to that end, I have given much of my time to many groups and organizations in this area. I believe that I possess the essential qualities required to be an informed and effective member of council, and I am requesting your support in the upcoming municipal election. on Monday, October 21. Let's focus on the future. Vote Brodziak. Thank you.
David?
I haven't given much of my background, so I'll give you a little bit right now. I grew up in a small town in Estelle, south of Red Deer. I worked with my dad in his painting business. I worked with relatives on the farm. I went to university, and after I graduated, I started working as a fisheries biologist for Fish and Wildlife. I worked all over the province, but I mainly lived in Edmonton. While I was in Edmonton, I was a very strong community supporter and president of Lakewood Community League, and involved in many of the sports there and sitting on all the committees. We moved here because we wanted to raise our family here. I'm a parent and a grandparent, so kids and family are important to me, and I want to work for them. I'm also a pensioner, so how money is spent concerns me. I'm a senior, so I want to work with the seniors, and I know, as I said, there is information, but it's not getting to them.
Thank you, David. I'll have to end it here. Len?
Thank you. Yes, I'm very concerned in the community, so we want to make this, like I mentioned, a better community. And resurgence is another word I use. And sometimes we're not sure what direction we're going. Let's just go back a few steps to the basics. You know, are we doing the proper services? Are we efficient? And what are the needs of this community and attracting economic development? So if we just hone on doing business better as a daily practice, I'm sure we can make this a better community for everyone. I hope land on October 21. Thank you.
Thank you. And Janine?
Thank you, everyone. When I ran in 2010, it was as a mother and family community activist. I wanted to take what I do in private life and my volunteer efforts and make it a professional effort. My political science background has led me to this point. I was raised to be somebody that was interested in making a difference in the community in which I live. We are raising our children to do the same in their community. Vegreville is a community with so many strengths. I am proud to be your representative on the current council. I look forward to continuing that good work. I am proud to say in the 3 years that I was on council, every single budget had surplus in every single town department. This is not a town that is wasteful. This is a town that has employees that work hard and are mindful of the tax dollars that we receive as your stewards. We take good care to make sure that we are making responsible, sound decisions for the future. We want to work together with you. I would like to speak out on your behalf to the province and to the communities that are close to us to make sure that we get what we deserve as Vegrevillians. I look forward to your support. I look forward to working on your behalf.
Thank you, Janine. And thank you to all of the candidates for council. We'll move on, and the mayoralty candidates have 2 minutes. Oh, who did I miss? Adam, I skipped over you. Just a test. First of all, Adam, accept my apologies. I had your number down, and we will finish with that.
Thank you. I will support healthcare spending here in this community. We need a hospital. We need to make sure our hospital has the services we need in this community. We need to make sure that we encourage public input into major decisions. We need to develop stronger regional partnerships to make sure we are the hub and we remain the hub. We need to get more small businesses to come out into storefronts and revive downtown. We need new businesses to develop, whether it be at the West End or downtown. We need to explore cutting costs wherever we can, but not at any cost. On October 21, please vote Adam Kozakiewicz, a vote for responsible growth. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to all of the council candidates, all 11 of you. I can see how that movie Home Alone might have happened. Glad I only had 3 kids, not 11 to take care of. And that, again, I do appreciate all of you taking the time, to be here tonight to run, and also being so concise and thoughtful in your answers. It was very, very helpful. We got through a large number of questions. For the mayoralty candidates, you have 2 minutes to give us your closing remarks.
I'm not making promises I can't keep, but I do promise to devote 100% of my time and energy to serving you and representing Vegreville across the province, nationally and internationally. I have no hidden agenda. Rather, I've presented my plan of action for the next 4 years and promised to work with the team on council to meet that plan. I do not represent any special interest group, nor have I taken any campaign contributions. When making decisions, I always have and will continue to consider what is in the best interests of the community as a whole. I have never been involved in backroom dealings and collusions, and have no intent to do so in the future. I am running for mayor on the merits of proven leadership and a 9-year council record of honesty, transparency, and accountability. I am prepared to serve each and every one of you. On October 21st, elect Natalia Toroshenko for mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalia. Myron?
Well, yes, I hope for your support on October 21st. My main focuses are going to be transparency and accountability. Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, the taxpayers of this town, if you want to call it, place it as a business, is our bosses. We got to listen to what the taxpayers want. When there's developments or things that are happening in areas, I think that the people in that area should have a say in what's going on. And there's a few of them going on right now. To me, you got to look at what's good for the majority, not the minority. And yes, we do have to work with our municipalities and improve the relationships that we have with them. Because the more united you can get, the more you can accomplish. And it's not one person that's going to be able to change anything. We need a good slate, and hopefully whoever the new mayor is and the new council is going to be for the betterment of Vegreville. And as far as time factor goes, like I said, yeah, I'm a busy guy. But at one point in time, I was away from my business for about 1.5 years. It's still a successful business. I have some good staff, and when I'm gone from there, they know how to operate things. And I have no problem with dedicating the time that is needed to govern the town of Vegreville. Thank you.
Thanks, Myron. And Jenny?
I have 15 years of experience and knowledge to be your mayor. I can lead this council and town in a business-like and yet cooperative manner. I will stand up for what is right and just. I am the one to lead this team. I will continue to listen to all people's concerns, rich, poor, old, young. I have an even head and don't make rash decisions. I look at all the information presented, consider the options, then make the decision for what is best for the community and also the future. I have no personal agendas. I have had your trust before and represented you well, and I will do that also as your mayor. I can dedicate all my time to the role of mayor. You voted for me in the past, and I ask for it again, to be your mayor. I will represent all of you, and I'm always so proud of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, and we have a round of applause for all 14 candidates. That's the end of the formal part of our program. The candidates know that some of you might have specific questions. I'm sure they'll go back to their table areas if you let them. You may color them on the way down. I just wanted to say, as someone who's, I think, only had a chance to vote in one municipal election in the county, because we often have candidates running that aren't opposed, often very good candidates. It's a real privilege for me to be here tonight, to be the moderator of this election forum. I'm very impressed with the thought and the effort that all of the candidates have put in, and the professionalism that we've seen. So I know that Vegreville Council, Vegreville will be well served when the election is finished. I want to thank everyone for coming out. One thing I would encourage you to do is is talk about what you've heard tonight with your neighbors, with your friends, with someone who is maybe over 18 and under 30 who isn't here tonight, and just encourage them to get out to vote. I think that we owe it to ourselves and also to the candidates to show a good turnout. Thank you very much. Thank you to Elaine from the Chamber for doing much of the yeoman work organizing. Thank you again to Arthur. Thank you to the